Hello. So I'm a pretty curious person, and like my brain goes into a lot of different directions pretty frequently, and I like to just like explore and learn new things and research stuff pretty randomly. Sometimes it's like I see an article and I'm like, hey, I don't know what that is, and I kind of travel down that rabbit hole, and sometimes it's legitimately just like randomly looking at stuff. And I had an idea the other day of doing a video series where I basically am just like learning random stuff on Wikipedia and sharing that stuff with the world, and kind of like my process of what I'm looking at, how I'm kind of scrolling through things, and how my brain works, which I mean sounds probably better in theory than what it will be outcome wise, because the brain is a scary place. But um, we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna screen share it, and we can just kind of look through Wikipedia. I'm gonna select a random article, and we'll go from there. All right, so we are going to go to a random article here on Wikipedia, and we are going to see what we are going to learn about today. Dedinka, which is a municipality in Slovakia. Interesting. It's a municipality and village in the Nova Zamki district in the Nitra region of southwest Slovakia. In historical records, the village was first mentioned in 1227. That's something that's always crazy as an American, is like you see the original like age of cities in Europe, and it's like that's old. Village lies in an altitude of 180 meters above sea level and covers an area of 18.519 square kilometers. Population about 830 people. Not a whole lot of people here in Dedinka. Population is 98% Slovak and 2% Hungarian. The village has a public library and a football pitch. Nice. Good for you guys. Well, let's learn a little bit more about Slovakia. All right, so Slovakia, it's a country here in Europe. So it's officially the Slovak Republic. It is a landlocked country in Central Europe, bordered by Poland to the north, Ukraine to the east, Hungary to the south, and Austria to the west, and the Czech Republic to the northwest. They've been around some conflicts. Slovakia is mostly mountainous territory, spans from 49,000 square kilometers, 49,000 square kilometers, about 19,000 square miles, hosting a population exceeding 5.4 million. The capital and largest city is Bratislava, the second largest being Koz. I'm not even going to try that one. After World War I, the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the state of Czechoslovakia was established, incorporating Slovakia in the lead up to World War II. Local fascist parties gradually came to power in the Slovak lands, and the first Slovak Republic was established as a client state under the control of Nazi Germany. The local Jewish population was heavily persecuted, with almost 70,000 Jews being murdered or deported. Internal opposition to the fascist government's policies culminated in the Slovak National Uprising, itself triggered by the Nazi German occupation of the country. Although the uprising was eventually suppressed, partisan resistance continued, and Czechoslovak independence was reestablished after the country's liberation at the end of the war. Following the Soviet-backed coup of 1948, Czechoslovakia became a communist state within the Eastern Bloc and the satellite state of the Soviet Union. Attempts to liberalize communism culminated in the Prague Spring, which was suppressed by the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia in August 1968. In 1989, the Velvet Revolution peacefully ended communist rule in Czechoslovakia. Slovakia became an independent state on the 1st of January 1993 after the peaceful dissolution of Czechoslovakia, sometimes known as the Velvet Divorce. Slovakia is a developed country with an advanced high-income economy. The country maintains a combination of market economy with a comprehensive social security system, providing citizens with universal health care, free education, and one of the longest paid parental leaves in the OECD. Slovakia is a member of the European Union, the Eurozone, the Schengen area, the United Nations, NATO, CERN, the OECD, the WTO, the Council of Europe, Visegrad Group, and the OSCE. They're a member of a lot of things. Slovakia is also home to 8 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. UNESCO, the world's largest per capita car producer. Slovakia manufactured a total of 1.1 million cars in 2019, representing 49% of its total industrial output. So they make a lot of cars in Slovakia.
1.1 million cars made with a population of, what did it say, 5.4 million? That's nuts. They're just cranking out cars. Slovakia's name means the land of the Slavs. I mean, that would make sense. The older form Slovianen. As such, it is a cognate of the word Slovenia and Slovenia and Slovenia in medieval Latin, German, and even some Slavic sources. The same name is often used for Slavics, Slovens, Slovenians, and Slavs in general. Interesting. Okay, so that's interesting etymology. Alright, so we've got some good history here. Whoa, that's a lot of history. I do not have time to read through all of that history. Let's find some interesting little sections. So we read about the Bronze Age. During the Bronze Age, the geographical territory of modern-day Slovakia went through 3 stages of development stretching from 2000 to 800 BCE. Major cultural, economic, and political development can be attributed to the significant growth in production of copper, especially in central Slovakia and northwest Slovakia. Copper became a stable source of prosperity for the local population after the disappearance of the Chicani and Veladas cultures. The Lusatian, as I'm reading through some of the, I don't know these Slavic names. People expanded building of strong and complex fortifications with a large permanent buildings and administrative centers. Excavations of Lusatian hill forts document the substantial development of trade and agriculture in that period. The richness and diversity of tombs increased considerably. The inhabitants of the area manufactured arms, shields, jewelry, dishes, and statues. We've got the Iron Age, the Roman period. Great invasions from the 4th and 7th centuries. Slavic states. This is all history that's just now getting to the year like 1000. Kingdom of Hungary, the Habsburg monarchy and the Ottoman Empire, Czechoslovakian independence, enter the Nazis. It's not generally what you want to see, especially if you are a Jew in Slovakia. After the Munich Agreement and the Vienna Award, Nazi Germany threatened to annex part of Slovakia and allow the remaining regions to be partitioned by Hungary or Poland unless independence was declared. Thus, Slovakia seceded from Czechoslovakia in March 1939 and allied itself as demanded by Germany with Hitler's coalition. Secession had created the first Slovak state in history. The government of the First Slovak Republic, led by Joseph Tiso, strongly influenced by Germany, and gradually became a puppet regime in many respects. One second, be right back. I am back. Dog is barking like crazy. For no reason. It's just what the dog does. Interesting. Yikes. As part of the Holocaust in Slovakia, 75,000 Jews out of the 80,000 who remained on Slovak territory after Hungary had seized southern regions were deported and taken to German death camps. Thousands of Jews, gypsies, and other politically undesirable people remained in Slovak forced labor camps in Sered, Vín, and Nováky. Tiso, through the granting of presidential exceptions, allowed between 1,000 and 4,000 people crucial to the war economy to avoid deportations. Yikes. And then they had Communist Party rule in Czechoslovakia. Dissolution of Czechoslovakia between 1989 and 1992. And the Slovak Republic and the Czech Republic went their separate ways after the 1st of January 1993, an event sometimes called the Velvet Divorce. Slovakia has nevertheless remained a close partner with the Czech Republic. Both countries cooperate with Hungary and Poland in the Visegrad Group. Slovakia became a member of NATO on the 29th of March 2004 and the European Union on the 1st of May 2004. It was a big year for them. 21st of December 2007 saw Slovakia join the Schengen area, allowing visa-free travel. In 1 January 2009, Slovakia adopted the euro as its national currency. Very interesting. Geography. Looks like it is very mountainous, primarily for its mountainous nature. The Carpathian Mountains, extending across most of the northern half of the country. Among these mountain ranges are the high peaks of Tatra area, Slovak Ore Mountains, Slovak Central Mountains, or Beskids. Interesting. The Tatra Mountains. Tatra Mountains are 29 peaks higher than 8,200 feet. Are the highest mountain range in the Carpathian Mountains. Very interesting. They've got 9 total national parks covering 6.5% of their land surface. They have hundreds of caves and caverns under their mountains, of which 30 are open to the public. That's cool. Most of the caves have stalagmites rising from the ground and stalactites hanging from above. That's so cool. I always wanted to go into a cave like that. I want to know how those are formed. Let's open that. Oh. Let's see. Rivers, climate. Okay. The Slovak climate lies between the temperate and continental climate zones with relatively warm summers and cold, cloudy, and humid winters. Temperate extremes are between -41 and 104 in freedom units. Other temperatures between -22 are rare. Other difference from the mountains is north to the plains in the south. The warmest region is Bratislava. During the night, temperature in summer, the temperatures may reach 86 degrees in summer, occasionally to 102 in Hrbanovo. During night, the temperatures drop to 68 degrees. The daily temperature in winter average in the range of 23 degrees Fahrenheit to 50 degrees. During the night, it may be freezing, but usually not below 14 degrees. In Slovakia, there are 4 seasons. Each season lasts 3 months. The dry continental air brings in the summer heat and the winter frost. Contrast, oceanic air brings rainfalls and reduces summer temperatures. Spring starts. Okay, so they have the same seasons as everyone else in the northern hemisphere. Not everyone else. As me here in Indiana. Not me when I lived in Florida. Biodiversity. Alright. Biodiversity of Slovakia comprises animals such as antlids, arthropods, mollusks, nematodes, and vertebrates, fungi, microorganisms, and plants. Yep, checked them all. The geographical position of Slovakia determines the richness of the biodiversity of fauna and flora. More than 11,000 plant species have been described throughout its territory, nearly 29,000 animal species, and over 1,000 species of protozoa. Forests cover 44% of the territory of Slovakia. The country had a 2019 Forest Landscape Integrity Index score, mean score of 4.34 out of 10, ranking at 129th globally out of 172 countries. It's not great. Obviously not the worst. They're 129th out of 172, but they're in the bottom 50%. I'm pretty sure this one, the United States, is like roughly halfway. Forest Landscape Integrity Index. Where are we? The USA, right here. 6.65. That's probably because we've got Alaska, is what my guess would be. Because we've got that, and so you have low integrity forest, medium integrity, high integrity, and then your total forest area. So we've got a lot of low and medium integrity, and then still quite a bit, right? Like, that's nothing to scoff at, but significantly less, like half as much in the high integrity as in either of these other 2 categories. So anyway, It's a temperate broadleaf and mixed forest with terrestrial ecoregions of Panamanian mixed forest and Carpathian montane conifer forest. Over 4,000 species of fungi have been recorded. Of these, nearly 1,500 are lichen-forming species. Lichen is so cool. Some of these fungi are undoubtedly endemic, but not enough is known to say how many of the lichen-forming species, about 40%, have been classified as threatened in some way. Government and politics. Here we go. Parliamentary Democratic Republic with multi-party system. The last parliamentary elections were held on the 30th of September 2003, and 2 rounds of presidential elections took place on the 23rd of March and the 6th of April 2004. Slovak head of state and the formal head of the executive is the president, currently Peter Pellegrini. Though with very limited powers, the president is elected by direct popular vote under the 2-round system for a 5-year term. Most executive power lies with the head of government, the prime minister, currently Robert Fico, who is usually the leader of the winning party and who needs to form a majority coalition in the parliament. The prime minister is appointed by the president. The remainder of the cabinet is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the prime minister. So this is, so like, you'll see this in a lot of parliamentary systems. So it happens all over Europe, right? And this is very different than the United States. And I don't know how much of people watching this are going to be from the U.S. versus other areas. But this is something that, like, when I first found out about was kind of interesting. So in the United States, our president is both the head of state and, like, the head of the government. That is not the case in other places. So, like, in the U.S., our president is the commander-in-chief of the military, plus he heads the executive branch, which is where all of, like, most of your government things that are, all of your, what we would call the alphabet agencies, right? Like the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the Transportation, Department of Transportation, the Department of Education, all of those all fall under the executive branch. So, like, all of those branches ultimately report up to the president, as well as him being the head of state and the commander-in-chief of the military. So, like, the president has a tremendous amount of power in the United States. Now, you make some argument that, like, a lot of those agencies shouldn't let, like, the original intention of the founders was for the president to be less powerful than that and not have as many of those types of agencies reporting to him, and for, like, the power that is vested within those agencies to primarily be seated with Congress. But this is where we are, right? So, like, the reality of our current situation is that our president holds a lot of power through those agencies as the head of government, which is kind of similar to what a prime minister would do. But then, like, in other countries, there's generally a separation where, like, the head of state, the person that is actually, like, shaking hands, right, kissing babies, and ultimately in charge of the military, like, typically the head of state and the commander-in-chief of the military kind of go hand in hand. The prime minister is usually, like, formally appointed by the head of state. That process is going to differ quite a bit from country to country. But, like, it's the same, like, in this case, the prime minister is Robert Fico, or the prime minister is Peter Pellegrini. If you were talking about, like, the UK, that would be the monarch. So that would be the king. And then the king would technically appoint the prime minister, who is generally the head of the majority party in parliament. So they kind of do a similar thing here, but instead of having a monarch, you have a president that is also democratically elected, who is appointing that prime minister, who is the head of whatever majority party in parliament. So it's just interesting, different ways of being able to do these systems. Constitution of the Slovak Republic was ratified on the 1st of September 1992 and became effective on the 1st of January 1993. It was amended in September 1998 to allow direct election of the president, and again in February 2001 due to EU admission requirements. The civil law system is based on Austro-Hungarian code. The legal code was modified to comply with the obligations of Organization on Security and Cooperation in Europe and to expunge the Marxist-Leninist legal theory. I mean, not a bad idea. Slovakia accepts the compulsory International Court of Justice jurisdiction with reservations. All right. This is where the president stays. Nice. Foreign relations. Ministry's director. They joined the European Union and NATO in 2004 and Eurozone in 2009. It's a member of the United Nations, participates in its specialized agencies. The country was, on the 10th of October 2005, elected to a 2-year term on the UN Security Council from 2006 to 2007. Also a member of the Schengen area and all those other places that I named earlier. Military, Slovakia joined NATO. Holy moly. They've been involved in some stuff over the years. Human rights in Slovakia are guaranteed by the Constitution of Slovakia from the year 1992 and by multiple international laws signed in Slovakia between 1948 and 2006. Slovakia performs favorably in measurements of civil liberties, press freedom, internet freedom, democratic governance, and peacefulness. According to the European Roma Right, very interesting. Administrative divisions. The economy, it's a high-income developed economy in 2004 with a population of only 5 million. It ranked as 46th richest country with per capita gross domestic product based on the purchasing power of $44,081 and the 61st largest economy in the world with a GDP of $140 billion. Wow. $140,000 billion. Is that right? That's not right. That's not right. What did it say? 61st Slovakia. This has got to be in millions. Yeah. That's millions. I might put in a edit on that after I'm done making this video. Somebody just mistyped that. It's just 148.08 million, which equates to 140 billion. The U.S. is at like 28 trillion. So here, and the 61st largest economy in the world with GDP of $140 billion. Very interesting. Industry. Oh, that's right, all the cars. There are currently 4 automobile assembly plants with a 5th under construction. Volkswagen's in Bratislava, where they make a bunch of cars. Yeah, I mean, they are just cranking out fairly nice cars. Looks like Land Rover, Volvo, Jaguar. Very nice. Yeah, they're making a bunch of cars over there. Slovak Academy of Science has been the most important scientific and research institution in the country since 1953. Slovaks have made notable scientific and technical contributions during history. Demographics. Here we go. The population is over 5.4 million, consists of mostly Slovaks. The average population density is 110 inhabitants per square kilometer. Hungarians are the largest ethnic minority at 7.75. Language is the official language of Slovak, which I mean would make sense in Slovakia. Guarantees freedom of religion. 55.8% identified themselves as Roman Catholics, 5.3% as Lutherans, Calvinists, Greek Catholics, Orthodox. 23.8% identified themselves as atheists or non-religious. Oh, let's see. How many are Jewish after their whole World War II debacle? In 2004, about 1/3 of the church members regularly attended church services. Before World War II, an estimated 90,000 Jews lived in Slovakia, but most were murdered during the Holocaust. After further reductions due to post-war emigration and assimilation, only about 2,300 Jews remain today. 0.04% of the population. Wooden folk architecture, that's really cool. That's a neat looking little house. Sport. Most popular team sports is ice hockey. I mean, that would make sense. Very interesting. All right. So this is the other thing I wanted to look at, and then I've got to get off because my lunch break is almost done. Stalagmite. Alright. Is a type of rock formation that rises from the floor of a cave due to the accumulation of material deposited on the floor from ceiling drippings. Stalagmites are typically composed of calcium carbonate but may consist of lava, mud, peat, pitch, sand, sinter, and amberite, which is the crystalline urine of pack rats. Isn't that fun? The corresponding formation hanging down from the ceiling of a cave is a stalactite. So it looks like things drip down from the ceiling. It forms these stalactites from the top, and then as they drip down, they kind of gradually build up from the bottom and stack up and create the stalagmites. Stalagmites? I don't know how to say that. These don't help. Most common are speleothems, which usually form in limestone caves. Stalagmites formation occurs only under certain pH conditions within the cavern. They form through deposition of calcium carbonate and other minerals, which is precipitated from mineralized water solutions. Limestone is the chief form of calcium carbonate rock, which is dissolved by water that contains carbon dioxide, forming a calcium bicarbonate solution in caverns. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the water must be greater than the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the cave chamber for conventional stalagmite growth. Stalactites, the ceiling formations, grow long enough to connect with the stalagmites on the floor. They form a column, like this, it looks like. That's pretty cool. You should not touch them. If you see them, don't touch. The rock buildup is formed by minerals precipitated out of the water. Skin oils can alter the surface tension where the mineral water clings or flows, thus affecting the growth of formation. Oils and dirt, mud, clay from human contact can also stain the formation and change its color permanently. Womp womp. There's also lava ones, ice ones, concrete derived. Ooh, some pictures. Wow, so pretty. That's so cool. Look at that. That's just stuff dripping down and building up. Wow. All right, and then pack rat. A pack rat is also called a wood rat or a trade rat, or any species in the North and Central American rodent genus. Neotoma. Pack rats have a rat-like appearance with long tails, large ears, and large black eyes. Pack rats are noticeably larger than deer mice, harvest mice, and grasshopper mice, and are usually somewhat larger than cotton rats. But based on the fact that it says they have a rat-like appearance, leads me to think that they're not actually rats. Allegheny wood rat. Let's see. Alright, so Neotoma is their genus, right? So Neotoma are the pack rats, right? Okay. So the family that they're in, the Chrysetidae, are a family of rodents in the large and complex superfamily Muroidea. It includes true hamsters, voles, lemmings, muskrats, and New World rats and mice. Over 870 species, it is either the largest or second largest family of mammals and has members throughout the Americas, Europe, and Asia. Very interesting. Let's see. So the rodents. Let's see if we can find just the... Here we go. So here's the rodents. Rodentia. Alright. So right here, Meroidia is where we find the deer mice, the true mice, and the rats. Now why can't I remember what our other little friends were in? New World. Chrysalidae? Okay, so we are in Meroidia. Okay. So then within Meroidia, we have the spiny deer mouse. Okay, so this family, Chrysalidae, is the family that is the that has pack rats. But then this family, Muridae, is the one that has the old world rats and mice. So, if it looks like, so this is all a clade. So like if the old world rats and mice are rats, like if we were to call these rats, we would have to also call all mice rats. And then we would also have to call gerbils, sand rats, togo mouse, crested mouse, spiny mouse, all of these also rats. Hamsters, voles, lemmings, muskrats would also be rats. So like if we wanted to create a monophyletic group that was just the rats, we couldn't include the North American rats and the Old World rats without also including all of this other stuff kind of within this clade. Should be a lot of things to describe as rats. So like a pack rat, I'm going to go out and say, that we're probably referring to the Old World rats as rats, right? When I click on that, that brings me to rats. Like that is what people are typically talking about when they talk about rats, is the Old World rats, which means the New World rats are not actually rats. They're fake rats. Making the pack rat not a rat. It's a rodent. It's closely related to the rats, but not a rat. Anyway, that's the end of my perusing on Wikipedia today. I have to get back to work, so I appreciate you watching. If you stayed all the way to the end, first off, thank you. I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button and like down below, especially if you stayed to the end. You must have enjoyed it a little bit. I don't know. Let me know if you like this format, if you like me just kind of going through stuff. I did not prepare anything at all for this. This was literally just, I sat down, clicked on random article, and then have just article hopped on Wikipedia from there. So like, there was, if it seemed like I was all over the place, it's because I was. This is just naturally how my brain kind of works as I'm looking at things and kind of scrolling around, looking at stuff and learning different things. So let me know how you like the format, if you want me to change it, if you want me to never do this again, you think it was the worst thing that you've ever watched on YouTube before, or if you found it interesting, useful, helpful, anything like that. Anyway, thank you so much, and I will see y'all later.